All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're live on Facebook, and for those of you that are watching the recording of this video, thanks for taking the time and get back to the person that invited you here. Get back to the person that got you this video. I've got my co-host Katie on the call with us, and she's made some great slides. Tonight, we're going to cover a little bit about multivitamins. We're going to cover why it's important that you be taking multivitamins and minerals. And there's just a whole ton of research on that. So we're going to cover that tonight. And especially right now during weight loss season, we'll call it weight loss season, while you're losing weight, you really want to be taking some sort of a multivitamin. And I'm going to say, if you could be taking a multivitamin, take a good one, because the ones that you buy over the counter, the cheaper ones, chances are you're not able to absorb that. Only about 3% of people are actually able to absorb what's in the best-selling vitamin. But when you're doing weight loss, when you're trying to lose weight, they do show that almost everybody that does weight loss has nutritional deficiencies. So really, really important that you get started with a multivitamin. And we're going to go over the multivitamins that Sizzle makes, and some fantastic products. There's actually two products that we use as our multivitamin, multi-mineral. One of them is SpectraMax. It's a liquid nutraceutical, and it's jam-packed with 40 antioxidants and 74 trace minerals, trace essential minerals. We'll talk about what essential means. We'll talk about trace means. And then we have the other multivitamin, the Encompass 360. So, Katie, if you want to come on live with me, we can share your slide presentation.
Sure. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for jumping on. Appreciate you taking the time out of your day, and glad that you can make it today to join us. And we've got some great information, as Dr. Kurt's just been alluding to. We're going to be talking about Encompass 360 and SpectraMax. And I guess the question a lot of people are asking, do they actually need them, Kurt? And you've started to touch on that. And that's what we really want to get into today. Do people need a multivitamin and mineral? And so we're going to present some information today that probably haven't heard about, actually. And it will help you make up your mind that about doing the thing that's best for you. So we've got a couple of statements here. This one is, what do we need to do to avoid a nutrient deficiency? Sorry, I've just got the bar in the way. Let me just move this stuff out of the way here. So when it comes to specific vitamins and minerals, some Americans get less than adequate amounts. According to criteria set by the National Academy of Medicine, for example, more than 90% of Americans get less than the estimated average requirement for vitamin D and E from food sources alone. So there's just two for starters. So yeah, and then of course we've got certain groups are going to be even at higher risk for nutrient deficiency. Elderly people, pregnant people who have malabsorption issues, depending on your genetic status. And you could tell that from probably your genomic testing. And there's a number of malabsorption conditions that also can cause nutrient deficiencies, such as celiac, ulcerative colitis, cystic fibrosis, surgery. If you've become ill, if you're having chemotherapy, you'll definitely become deficient in vitamins. Vomiting, diarrhea, alcohol, a whole bunch of others there. Certain medications can deplete vitamins and minerals. So blood pressure medication can deplete the body's stores of magnesium, potassium, and calcium. Proton pump inhibitors, they're a big one. People love popping those ones. They're taken commonly for acid reflux. And in fact, you can buy them over the counter. You can buy them down here at the 7-Eleven. And people take them for heartburn and things like that. If you start taking those for a while, you're more likely to develop the B12 deficiency there, and also potentially calcium and magnesium. And then it goes on to talk about other drugs cause other things. So what do you think about all that, Dr. Kurt?
It's interesting, isn't it, that, when your doctor prescribes those medicine, you'd think that the doctor would say, hey, you're going to be taking that proton pump inhibitor, and like Prilosec, and you're going to take that here, why don't you make sure and take this extra vitamin B12 while you're doing that? Make sure and take this calcium, make sure and take this magnesium, and they don't do that. And you've got listed there the levodopa and carbidopa, which are L-dopa drugs for Parkinson's disease. When you take a look at causing the malabsorption of B vitamins, what does that do? Well, eventually, if you have a malabsorption of the B vitamins, it's going to cause a deficiency of the other neurotransmitters. So pretty soon you're going to have a deficiency of serotonin. So now not only are you going to have Parkinson's, now you're going to have depression.
Yeah, wow. Fascinating. So really interesting. Now, to get to your point there, you said, why don't, if the doctor prescribes a medication, why don't they suggest supplementing? And this is a topic I was going into detailed discussion yesterday with a friend. And actually, it is that the only people who are really properly qualified to review diet and vitamin supplementation is a dietitian or a clinical nutritionist, is really the only qualification. GPs, general practitioners, are not trained in supplementation. They're not trained in supplements. So other than to recommend what's on the bottle, which we can all do anyway, they really, unless they're an integrated doctor, unless they've done specific training outside of their general practitioner training, like they're an integrated doctor, have done integrative medicine or naturopathy, then they're actually not qualified. And I'll give you an example of this. So basically, I had a friend who I said to her, I think you're deficient in iodine and you should get tested, because she had all the symptoms, and I mean, they were extreme. She went to her doctor and she said, could you test me for iodine? And the doctor refused to test her for iodine and says, I can't test you for iodine because I wouldn't even know how to read the results. I don't know anything about it, and I'm not going to test you for it. So she went to another one, and that second doctor also refused to test her. And I said, well, you can actually order it online. But the thing is, the point of that story was that the doctors wouldn't do it because they're not actually trained in it, and they don't feel comfortable in it. They don't feel comfortable discussing it. They don't feel comfortable recommending it because they're not qualified. So you need to, see a qualified naturopath or, a nutritionist or a dietitian.
Chiropractor.
Yeah, a chiropractor. You've trained, but you've done extra training though. It's not standardly taught. Yeah. Is it standard in chiropractic training?
No, we get more training in nutrition than say your average medical doctor. But no, to have the knowledge like what I have, that's 30 years of studying this specifically. But
yeah, there you go.
We can't just say naturopaths either or nutritionists, because there's a lot of, just like any profession, there's good ones and bad ones.
Yeah, well, that's true. And that's true. And you could have a general practitioner that is like, read up on it or well educated on it, that is, feels comfortable doing it. So you can't make a blanket statement. Absolutely right. But that just gives people a little more insight into kind of that thing. And I think that's where we're running into a problem, because we've got these different disciplines in medicine, and they're not collaborating, or they're not overlapping. They're staying in their own section. And of course, the body's a whole, and we need to be treated holistically and look at all aspects of that. So that's where I think we kind of run into some issues there, isn't it?
Exactly.
So we'll go to the next slide. So what does Harvard say about B12 and vitamin D? So the National Academy of Medicine recommends that people over the age of 50 eat foods fortified with B12 or take a B12 supplement, which are better absorbed than food sources. Also, a note, they suggested, here's the website reference, so you can check it yourself. Most people, the best way to get vitamin D is actually taking a supplement. It's hard to get from food. So, but everybody's different, and that's why it's good to speak to your practitioner, whoever you feel comfortable with, that's a qualified practitioner, and they can test you for vitamin D.
Harvard, I think it was 3 years ago, came out with a study, and they basically ended the study. They said it would be prudent for every American to take a multivitamin because they're going to have a deficiency. It would be prudent for every American to take a multivitamin. That's what the conclusion was.
Yeah, fantastic. So this page here on the Harvard site goes on. These are the 6. So I said 6 reasons why you might need multivitamin and minerals. So the question is, do you fall into any of these 6? I'm eating a limited diet. And as Dr. Kurt said, if you're dieting at the moment or restricting your diet, eating less than you normally do, then you are. or your appetite is poor, or you're eating less than usual. That's one reason you might need it. 2, you're following a restricted diet for longer than a week, then you would need it. You have a condition that reduces the body's ability to absorb nutrients, which we discussed on the previous slide, then you would need it. You have a temporary need to increase nutrients, such as being pregnant, then you would need it. Or the last one, I'm very busy and I just can't eat a balanced diet every day, then you would need it. So pretty much somebody will fall into one of those.
I would say probably the biggest one that's not listed on there is that if you look at what most people eat, they eat, there was a great study that came out of the UK. It was just reported this week. And they said that a lot of people depend highly on ultra processed food. Well, when you eat processed food, you go to the fast food joints, you go to the, grocery store and you buy prepackaged foods. There's no nutrients in it. So I would say that would probably be the main reason. The stuff that you have there, yeah, that's all stuff that most people should be aware of. But I don't think that a lot of people realize that when they eat a prepackaged meal, it doesn't have the nutrients in it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And so that's why it's really important to eat as many whole foods as possible. So what do we mean when we say whole foods? We're talking about foods that haven't been modified or changed or processed. So, whole grains, vegetables and fruit that aren't, processed, breads that are as natural as possible that have gone through minimal processing. So when we process, grains and we turn it into white flour or white rice, we've taken a lot of nutrients out.
What's interesting? I read today that the all the studies on whole grains, they're starting to come out and they're starting to say that actually the whole grains aren't as good as you'd think because of the fact that whole grains have a lot of lectin, and lectin interferes with the digestion of food. So they're saying that really we should be holding off on any grains, any whole grains, any processed grains, anything that's grain at all. We should be pulling it out of our diet and subbing in fruits and vegetables and nuts.
Yeah. Well, yeah, although you do, the problem is if I did that, Kurt, and cut out that, I wouldn't have any weight on my body at all because you do need carbohydrate.
Well, you'd have to figure out different places to get it. I know you're smart enough. You'd figure out where to get your nutrients.
Yeah. So anyway, well, I like buckwheat as a grain, the whole grain buckwheat, because it's gluten-free. So I'm really a big fan of that one. And I like brown rice too. But anyway, we're getting on to all-encompassing nutritional support. So we've got Encompass 360, and I think we're talking a bit, so we won't go into that, but there was a little bit of a snippet from Tom Jr. Anyway, we'll talk about this. So ionic minerals from organic fulvic acid. Kurt, do you want to talk? This is a really cool picture. Do you want to talk a little bit about this?
You bet. Well, take a look outside. You got a picture of a plant there, whatever it happens to be. And, it's taken the photons from the sun's rays, photosynthesis and the chlorophyll. And then you just wonder, how does a plant, how does a tree, how does a corn plant or whatever, how does it take and absorb the minerals out of the soil and pull it up into the plant? Because people say, eat that plant, you're going to get all those minerals from eating that plant. Well, how does the plant get those minerals? Well, the plant, it takes and it makes fulvic acid. And that fulvic acid that the plant makes dissolves the mineral, dissolves the dirt, dissolves the rock. And then what it does, it absorbs the mineral. The fulvic acid helps to absorb that. So now when you eat that plant, you're getting those minerals that the fulvic acid helped to absorb. And they've actually shown that fulvic acid does the same thing for us. So that's why if you look at our multivitamin, we've actually got fulvic acid in our multivitamin for the exact same reason.
Yeah, fantastic. So that's where, so mineral rich fulvates, and there's the loop. So in the Encompass 360, we've got a whole bunch of minerals in here, and these are just some of them. So we've got zinc, selenium, manganese, copper, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus. So they're all. So do you want to talk to people about essential minerals and non-essential minerals?
You bet. Well, essential. Let's break that word down. Essential means that your body needs it. It can't make it. It has to get it from an outside source. Trace means that it doesn't need very much. It just needs a little tiny bit. So like this says, 48 trace minerals are found in Compass 360. 48 trace minerals that are minerals that you just need a little tiny bit. 9 essential minerals. And what that means is that you need them. You can't make them. Your body can't survive without them. And, like we've talked about in the past on previous recordings, you've got 2,000 biological processes going on at any given time. And, how many of them are you actually in control of? Very few. And so they all depend on those trace essential minerals for their smooth operation for it to work all the time. So you bet.
Yeah. Great. So it's saying, the 9 essential trace minerals. So just for interest, so that's calcium, magnesium, sodium, chloride, potassium, selenium, iron, zinc, and chromium. And so we've got some good amounts of A, D, C, E, and K in Compass 360. We've got B1, B2, 3, B5, B6, B9, and B12 in Compass 360. So it's a good all-round multivitamin and mineral.
Katie, before you switch slides, go back to that one.
Yeah.
Here's a question a lot of people ask me, and I'm sure that they ask you, and I'm sure that they, all of you that are listening to this call, listening to the recording, I'm sure people ask you the same question. Why in the world would we need 660%? Why would we need 750%? If the recommended daily allowance is a certain amount and 100% is what you need, and you look at the most popular multivitamins on the market, they got 100% of everything. Why are we putting in way, way, way more than what the RDA is? What's your answer to that, Katie?
Yeah, because when they actually developed them, the recommended daily allowance or intake, RDI or RDA, it was done way back, I think you were saying by an Irishman, but I read that it was developed during World War II.
Right after World War II, yeah, it was 1954. They took a healthy 150-pound Irishman in Boston in 1954, and it really isn't the recommended daily requirements. What it is, it's the minimum amount of those vitamins that you need before you start showing deficiency diseases. And so if you have anything wrong with you, if you're sick, if you're unhealthy for whatever reason, you actually need more than the RDA or the RDI. And so then the question is, what does it mean to be healthy? What does it mean when they say, this is the recommended daily amount, 100% of these vitamins are the recommended amount for somebody who's healthy? Well, what's unhealthy? Well, if you read the definition of health, if you've ever had a vaccine, you're not considered healthy. If you've ever been on antibiotics, you're not considered healthy. If you've ever broken a bone, you're not considered healthy. If you've ever been in any kind of major trauma, you're not healthy. If you've ever been sunburnt, if you've ever had any major burns, if you've ever had any frostbite, if you live in a really extreme cold climate or a really extreme hot climate, plus there's just a whole list of other things that actually define health. So we could really say that probably, close to 97, maybe close to 100% of people don't fit the category of really being healthy. So 100% means nothing.
It's just crazy that we're actually using something that was recommended during World War II. World War II. I mean, come on. It's like 2023 and we're using medical, dietary advice from World War II.
Yep. When we were still eating wholesome foods out of somebody's garden. Now, a lot of people don't realize that you could grow a lot of those vegetables in your garden, in your backyard, if you really just took the time. Even if you lived in an apartment, the last time I was down in Australia, I talked to that gentleman that lives there in Melbourne, and he supplies the walls that you can use to make vertical gardening. So you can do vertical gardening right off your apartment deck. Yeah,
it's fantastic. Yeah, well, I've been growing cucumber and tomato, and it's summer here in Melbourne, and there's heaps of cucumbers and heaps of tomatoes. And I tell you what, they just taste unbelievable. I mean, the taste is out of this world. I mean, you cannot compare the flavor of those vegetables to stuff you buy in the supermarket. It's like, and you really look forward to eating them. You want to eat them. They taste really good. They'll have heaps more nutrition in them. It's fantastic.
You bet. You bet. Yeah. The ones you grow in your garden, they have so much better taste. So.
Okay, so we've got some other ingredients here in the Encompass 360, which is pretty interesting. We've got milk thistle, bacapa, green coffee, and turmeric. Do you want to talk a little bit about these?
You bet. Well, milk thistle, of course, we know that that's really important for the liver. It's been used a lot in a lot of detox products, and it helps with the formation of nitric oxide. When nitric oxide helps with exercise, it helps out with the heart. It helps get rid of lactic acid. So milk thistle is really, really important. Bacopa, bacopa is second to astragalus as far as for an anti-aging, but it helps with a lot of different things. It's been used in a lot of different products. A green coffee bean, it doesn't just have caffeine in it. It's got a lot of different things that helps out with testosterone. It helps out with the different parts of the brain, like the pituitary gland, the hypothalamus. Helps with some of those brain neurochemicals. And then turmeric. Turmeric is so important. They even talk about it in the Bible. But turmeric is so important because it is really, it's one of those super herbs, one of those ancient herbs that's been around for such a long time. It helps with almost every aspect of life. And on top of that, I think that one of the most important aspects today is the fact that it gets rid of inflammation.
Mm. We've got some more in here. We've got Maqui. Is that how you pronounce it?
I would say Macqua, yeah, but
Yeah.
Maqui, yeah.
The next one, Rhodiola rosa, and green tea.
Yeah, and rhodiola, just talk about that one a little bit. Rhodiola is it's considered an adaptogenic herb. What does that mean? Well, adaptogenic means that it helps the adrenal glands to adapt to different situations. So if you're feeling down today, it helps boost you up. If you're feeling up too high tomorrow, it brings you back down. So it balances it. The rhodiola is really, really good. You'll hear a lot more in the near future about different adaptogenic herbs because they're really being studied by the medical profession. And then green tea, of course, the EGCG in green tea is it works real similar to like the resveratrol that's found in Eternity. It works real similar to the fucoidan that's found in our fucoidan product, in that it's anti-angiogenic. It'll stop the blood supply to a tumor growth. So really, really important, plus a whole list of other things.
Fantastic. So we've got a little bit more information here. So, why do we need supplements? So we're going to touch on Spectramax in a second, and we've got some really good antioxidants in that product too. But, free radicals cause our cells to oxidize, just like rust on a car, and antioxidants combat free radical damage. So our body has 1 trillion cells, and every cell experiences 10,000 attacks a day. And free radicals come from all sorts of sources: the toxins in the air, toxins in personal care, diet, stress, and just as we age in general. So 7 years ago, the Journal of American Medicine Association, and Kurt, you might be familiar with this, reversed its stance and stated every single person needed to supplement. Our soil is more depleted today than it was in 1936, when a US Senate document stated that our soil was not the same. This is actually the statement that was made, and the references where it came from. So you can check them if you want to have a look at that. But what do you think about this statement?
You bet. Well, that's exactly what I said earlier, that everybody should be taking a multivitamin because, we're just not getting the nutrients we should be getting.
Yeah.
I think the problem with it is that, people read that and their doctor says, oh, just take a multivitamin, go to Walmart and buy the cheapest thing you can buy. And people think that they're getting everything that they need because it says, oh, it's got 100% of this and 100% of that. Well, if we go back to, like I was saying earlier, the most popular multivitamin on the market, the best-selling multivitamin on the market on a global basis, it's got 100% of this and 100% of that. but that's not enough. It just doesn't give enough of the nutrients. And then on top of it, what they do with it is they in order to make it so that they can pack all of that stuff into one pill, because people say, why do you have to take so much products with the Sizzle product? Well, if you take a look at our product, that's not tightly packed into a pill. It's put into separate capsules, so it breaks apart. Your body will actually use it. But if you take the most popular vitamin, the best-selling vitamin on the market, they pack it together and so tightly with a vitamin packer. It's thousands of pounds of pressure to compress that, and then they take and they coat it with a food grade of shellac. Well, what is shellac? Shellac is what I put on my furniture to make it so it's got a shiny cover on it, and so that it's got a smooth surface. Well, they put that on the vitamins so it slips down your throat. Otherwise, it would get stuck in your throat, and you'd probably, gag and die because it got stuck in your throat. But they put that on the vitamin, and they say 97% of us can't digest that shellac that's covering the vitamin.
Wow. Yeah, so that's really important to point. And I remember hearing Tom talk before, and someone was saying, because sometimes even with like the H pill, if you're taking that, if you're deficient in folate, which is B9, then you may not get the 100% benefit from the H pill. And so, on the rare occasion, some people might actually feel tired, and you're not meant to feel tired. Most people are jumping, for joy on the H pill, but there could be a reason for that. But someone said to Tom, well, how come you don't add that into the H pill? And he said, there's no more room. Like, have you seen the tablet? It's packed. It's packed full. I can't fit anything else in it because we've got so many great ingredients. And that's why you need a variety from the Sizzle line to kind of get everything you need, because you just can't get everything in one tablet. It's just really not possible. Just to note here on this slide, they've got a point about, some people have issues with iron. Some people are deficient in iron, but some people are overloaded in iron, like with I guess some other nutrients, but iron is a big one because it can be quite harmful. There is no iron added to any of the Sizzle supplements, just to let people know. If you are deficient in iron, you would need to take a separate supplement under the advice of your practitioner, but we don't have it in our supplement. So just to note, because it's mentioned here on
just cook one meal in a cast iron frying pan every day, and you'll get plenty of iron from that.
There you go. And your richest source of iron is your red meat too, is the richest source. Okay, so we've covered this, I think, pretty much in detail. We've got a few extra points here, Dr. Kurt. So let's see here. Well, actually,
I think the most important thing in here when we're talking about the SpectraMax is that, every dose gives you 74, that should be trace essential minerals, trace essential minerals. Again, trace, you don't need much. Essential means that your body needs them. You can't get them any other way. And it might be, like we talked about molybdenum, how much do you need? Not very much at all, but you need some, and it's in there. And then on top of it, there's 40 antioxidants. And, and why do you need 40 antioxidants? People ask me that, why do you need 40 antioxidants? Well, you have to understand how the redox reaction takes place. The oxidation reduction takes place. And what happens is that if you've got a free radical in your body, if you've got a toxin in your body, if you've got a poisonous chemical in your body, what happens is that these antioxidants, they will attack it. And what they'll do is they'll break it down. But when they break it down, it can, the first antioxidant can only break it down so far. And then, so now you've got a weaker form, but you've still got a toxin, you've still got a free radical in the body. So then the second antioxidant comes in and breaks it down again. And then you've still got a toxin in the body. So the body, brings in a third antioxidant, a fourth, and a fifth, and a sixth. And what they've shown is that for some of these free radicals, they need to be broken down 30 to 40 times before it gets to the point where it's actually not harmful at all. So that's why there's 40 antioxidants in SpectraMax, because of that. Tom Sr. and I were sitting on the deck at his log cabin a few years back and sitting there, and I asked him, I said, if you had $50, you could buy one product, what product would you buy? And it was before H pill, so I don't know what his answer would be today, but I think his answer would be the same. He said, if I can buy one product, it's going to be SpectraMax. He said, Sizzle is basically with everything that we put into Sizzle, when we put into Spectrumax, he said Spectrumax is probably the most value for your dollar on any product that Sizzle makes, because they're just, I mean, they're not hardly making any money at all when they produce Spectrumax because of everything that's in there. That's how important it is.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so it's just really a great product. And this is on the Spectrumax fact sheet, which you can download from your Sizzle back office. There's a study, and this just again reiterates everything we've been talking about today. If you look at the nutrient change in a sample of broccoli from 1975 to 2010, and of course, we're moved on a bit now, we're up to 223, so it's probably down further. But you can see calcium, iron, vitamin A, C, thiamine, riboflavin, and niacin, so your B vitamins, and look how much they're down in percentage of nutrition. And this is why, growing home vegetables at home, can make a big difference to your nutrition. But this is just really illustrating you're not getting it if it's not in the soil and it's not in the food you're eating. Then it's not going to happen. And I was just speaking to my mum about this the other day, and we just went and tested her. Actually, we just took her down today for an active B12 and folate B9 test. And I said to her, you do understand that if this test comes back low, you have to supplement. Like, you're not going to get it from your diet, because obviously whatever you've been doing is not giving it to you. It's not working. And the only way to correct it then is going to be to supplement. I said, because if you're not going to take a supplement, there's no point doing the test because you can't correct it. She said, no, I understand. But anyway, we just had to go over that. So yeah, I think we've pretty much covered that in detail there. So I think we'll leave it there. I think really we're on the half hour. So the question I guess most people are asking, can you take both together, Dr. Kurt?
Well, they're actually designed to be taken together. When you take a look at them, Encompass 360 and Spectrumax are designed to complement each other. So you really want to be taking both.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, excellent. So that's a wrap for today. So highly recommend both those products. Great addition to your nutrition regime, staying well, and particularly for, as Kurt said, you're doing the weight loss this month. Keep on track. We've got 12 days left. Hopefully you're reading Dr. Kurt's text. I'm going to send everyone an email who's in the team, and please check in on Monday, because I've got some really good information to share. And even if you're not doing the weight loss, check in and watch the recording. I'm sharing some great helpful information for you.
All right. Well, everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the nice weather. Get out and get some sunshine. Get that vitamin D levels up, and let's finish out the month strong. Let some people know that hey, there's some stuff out there that they can do to help improve their health and support a good, healthy body. Have a good weekend.
Bye.